Hi, I'm Dr. Veronique Desonier, better known as Dr. V, and founder of BreastCancerConqueror.com and the 7 Essential System. So today I'm so thrilled to have a dear friend. I got to know her as a friend, Miss Tara Coyote. Is that right? Do I pronounce it right?
It's actually Tara, but thank you for
Tara,
asking.
I'm sorry, Tara.
It's
That's right. I
okay.
should know that by now. Okay. So I got to meet Tara in person at one of our Healing Diva retreats, and I knew her through our coaching program and just fell in love with what she's doing. I loved her energy. She has a website called Cancer Warrior S, so warrior with an ESS at the end. And she's really taken on her healing journey as a means to educate and empower other women about healing breast cancer naturally. So she has an amazing story to tell us, and I'm so excited to share this with you as well. So Tara, you were diagnosed with that diagnosis that many of us have had, that breast cancer diagnosis. So what was that day like for you? That was in September of 2016. What was that day like?
Oh, it was a pretty horrific day, to be honest. It was probably about 4 hours at the hospital where I got a biopsy, mammogram, ultrasound, and pretty terrifying with listening to what the doctors were telling me and just the whole fear that comes with a diagnosis like that and the what if that comes to mind.
Exactly. So you got the diagnosis, and what were the next few weeks like for you? What went through your head? What went through your heart? What kind of steps did you start taking after the initial shock kind of wore off?
Right. Well, first, when I was diagnosed, they actually told me I was stage 1, which was scary, but I've had friends with stage 1 breast cancer and they were fine. And then pretty soon after that, they told me that I was most likely misdiagnosed. So I had to wait about 3 weeks where I did MRI, PET scan, there's endless tests and not knowing, which was very difficult to not know. And when I finally found out 3 weeks later that it was indeed stage 3, at least I could go forward and know what to do. So my partner and I, we poured ourselves into tons of research. We read books, we watched films, I talked to people who'd taken the allopathic route and the natural route. And about a week into it, I found your book, which was
Yay!
a total godsend. And it was just a beacon of light of, well, okay, there's this woman who healed herself naturally of breast cancer. If Dr. V can do it, I can do it too. So thank you so much for providing hope for all of us. So anyways, yeah, you're doing so much good in the world. Anyway, so I discovered that you, Dr. V, had a coaching program, and I decided to try that. And after doing a lot of deep inner work and insight, I realized that I would rather take a natural journey of healing cancer naturally than go down that route of chemo, surgery, and radiation and hormones and everything they prescribed for me. So it wasn't easy, but it was very empowering in a lot of ways.
Very good, very good. Now, tell me what was your inspiration to create your website, Cancer Warrior S?
Right. Well, my story is that I was with my best friend of 19 years. She was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, and I was one of her main caretakers for 22 months from her diagnosis to her death. And she went the full-on conventional route, and it was terrifying to see everything that she went through. I mean, I was literally with her for months at the hospital. And so when I was diagnosed almost exactly a year after her death, I was very well informed of what that path entailed. And I started going public with my journey just because I felt like sharing it. And I just wanted to help women and men know that there was a choice when it came to their healing path, because there's a lot of fear that's installed in you when you are diagnosed with a serious cancer diagnosis. So it's really just letting people know they have a choice to choose and putting the information out there like you're doing, basically.
Well, it's a beautiful website, and the blogs that you post are always so encouraging. So thank you for doing all that as well. And I want to kind of digress a little bit away from your healing journey just for a minute, because you do a very special kind of work with horses called Equine Facilitated Learning, or ESL. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into that work, and are you're still actively involved in that?
I am. I am. Yeah, it's a beautiful life. I have 4 horses. I have a 10-acre ranch in Northern California in Nevada City called Wind Horse Sanctuary. What brought me to it was a pretty difficult situation with my ex-husband, and I turned to horses for my own healing, basically, and they brought me out of a very challenging situation. And the work was so transformational that I decided I wanted to do it with other people, basically. So I had a very thriving Pilates business, and I sold that and bought my first horse and got trained with Linda Koanoff, and just started doing these healing workshops with people. So I've been doing them for about 4 years or so. I also do a lot of grief work with people with the horses, grief rituals with horses, and they're just profound healers. So I actually attribute the fact that I'm healing so fast from the cancer diagnosis I have to the fact that I have these lovely horses to be with every day.
Absolutely. What a wonderful work. And what kind of people are attracted to that? I mean, I know you mentioned grieving, or some sort of trauma, but do you deal with a lot of women with cancer? Is that something that you see, or is it just kind of all over the map?
I haven't worked that much with women with cancer with the horses, although this summer I would like to do that. I have some plans in my, it's mainly women who are on the path of self-discovery from the age of 30 on up. Some men too, but it's mostly women. I also do work with women coaching with cancer, but it's for like the mind part of it, not the more health part of it like you do, but
Right.
facing the fears that come up with cancer. But I do want to incorporate that with the horses as well, because horses can just really help you work through blocks in an extremely fast way.
Yes, that could be an interesting Healing Diva retreat, a spa retreat.
There you go.
And really
I like that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, so let's go back to your journey. And I know that you've said many times how much you've appreciated the 7 Essential System, and the coaching, because it gave you direction. But there's something that you've done that I find very interesting, and I think more and more women need to know about this, is a type of therapy called Apitherapy, or Bee Venom Therapy. So tell us how it works. What do you do? Do you actually put a bee on your tumor? Does it hurt? Just kind of tell us the story about it.
Great. Yeah, I would love to. So I've always been fascinated by bees. My father is a biologist, so I grew up in a very alternative way, being exposed to the natural world.
Mm-hmm.
And I first learned about apitherapy and how bees are powerful healers years and years ago, and it piqued an interest in me. And I always thought, okay, well, someday I'll own bees. When I was on the cancer journey, about 8 months in or so, a friend of mine mentioned that she used bees to sting herself around her tumor. And I thought, oh, wow, how interesting. So I started researching it, and I found an amazing woman named Tamara Wolfson, who actually I knew before. She lives in Northern California, in Fairfax, California, and she did apitherapy. So I went and saw her a few times. She's actually an acupuncturist who stings people on acupuncture points on their body according to what's going on. So she lives about 3 hours away from me, so I would go visit her several times, and I learned that my body really liked the bee venom therapy. So I was very lucky to find a woman who lives near me in my community who does it. So I started going to see her and found out that my body responded to it really well. For someone first starting out with apitherapy, it's good just to start slowly to see how your body handles it, because some people can't handle the bee venom, obviously. Some people are allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then last summer, I was really lucky to get some bees of my own. There was a swarm that came along, and I have another woman who's mentoring me and teaching me how to have bees, because it's actually a little bit complicated. And so I have my own hive of bees that I could go to and sting myself with. So a little bit about the stinging. Everybody asks, well, what does that mean? So
So do
I
you
have,
actually take a bee and just, okay.
yeah, so I brought my tweezers. This is my
Okay.
little show and tell prop.
Good.
So I'll actually take a bee. I'll grab the little bee, like underneath, kind of in the center of his body where
Right,
her wings are.
right.
And then I'll take the bee and then I'll put the bee, her little abdomen, right up against my breast and sting myself. And yes, it does hurt, but the more you get used to it, the less it hurts. So basically my body's pretty used to it now. So I'll do, depending on the day and how many stings I'm doing, maybe like 3 to 5 stings. And I do them around, my tumor is on the left breast. So I'll do it around the tumor, basically. Kind of like a clockwise circle around the breast.
Okay.
So it's
And
pretty fascinating.
and do you like do them all at once or spread it out throughout the day, or?
I tend to try to do it earlier in the day, usually before 2 o'clock, because there's something that happens in your body that gives you energy when you do it. So sometimes I find it hard to sleep at night. If I do it, say like 5 o'clock, I'll have a hard time sleeping that night. And I do it all at once. I'll just generally be there and just do it, because it gives you a bit of a reaction where it's painful and it creates, you know, a bit of a reaction in your body. So you kind of have to be with it. And I give myself a half an hour afterwards just to breathe into it. And there's an interesting reaction where it tends to give me energy, and then sometimes I'll get tired later on. So it kind of varies on the day and all that. But
Okay. And do you do it every day?
well, it's winter now in Northern California, and so it's cold out, and they don't come out of their hive if it's 52 degrees or below. So yeah, I'm not doing it every day now because they're not out, and I'm not going to go invade their hive. But usually when they're out, I'll do it maybe 3 times a week or so.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll give myself a day in between.
Okay. And did you get redness around the areas where you're staying every time?
I do, yeah. And so what happens when I sting myself is that their stinger stays inside my skin. So the stinger will fall out naturally, or I can take it out. So there's definitely like little red dots going around my breast, which I've just kind of gotten used to, but
okay.
it's just life at this point.
Right. I'll just go get some bees and sting myself a few times today.
Right.
But it's been a therapy that's been used for what, hundreds of years, or if not longer. So the mechanism, without having to get into a lot of scientific terms and everything, what actually is happening when you're stinging around the tumor?
Right. There's a few things that happen. When you get the bee venom in your body, it helps stimulate the immune system. So they say it's very rare for a beekeeper to get cancer because they have so much venom in their body that's keeping them healthy the whole time.
Interesting.
And so what happens when I sting myself, the reason why I go around the tumor is that there's a reaction where the venom goes in and it helps to shrink the tumor. The tumor kind of pulls back. I can just read this quick little thing. The conjunction of cell-lytic peptide, which is called melittin, with hormone receptors and gene therapy carrying melittin can be useful as a novel targeted therapy for some types of cancer, such as prostate and breast cancer. There's more information out there online, but there's a whole chemical reaction that happens when you put the venom into your body.
So it's stimulating the immune system, and I'm wondering if it's also causing apoptosis or cancer cell death, you know, right in that area. And I think you've mentioned that you've noticed a difference in the size of the tumor, you know, that's getting smaller as a result of the therapies, all the therapies that you're doing, not just that, but everything else that you're doing.
Right, for sure. And I do want to mention too, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, I would never sting myself with bees. You can actually get bee venom cream. They have it on Amazon. It's quite powerful, actually. I mean, it's not as powerful as the actual venom itself, but you can get it. And I have other friends who've tried it and use it on their breasts as well.
Interesting. And is there a particular company that is better than others, or just find Venom cream on Amazon?
I think it's called Venex. I can send you the link if you want, but
Okay.
it is pretty effective.
Okay.
And I would recommend people start out with a small amount and then build up. But there's instructions in the booklet that comes with it.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so other than bee venom, there's also bee products like bee pollen and propolis. So what's the difference between the two, and can those sorts of things be beneficial for a healing journey?
Definitely, definitely. So propolis, which is what the bees use as glue in their hive. If you open up a hive, it's a sticky substance, and if you eat it, it's sticky. So it's known to be radioprotective, and it has an anti-tumor effect. It's clinically proven to slow the growth of tumors, basically. So I have a little bit each day. I've gotten used to eating pretty much everything, so it doesn't taste bad to me.
What's a little bit, like a teaspoon, or what's the recommended? I mean, I know there's no recommended dosage, but how much would somebody take if for a therapeutic dose on a healing journey?
Right. Probably about 1 teaspoon twice a day.
Okay.
You can also get it in tincture formula too, although I tend to get it in a little jar. So.
Right. Yeah, I've got some in the fridge. I sprinkle it on nuts and yogurt and things like that. So kind of tasty.
Yeah. Well, that's the bee pollen too. The bee pollen is great. You can put it in smoothies or yogurt. I put it in my oatmeal, and bee pollen is it's an amazing form of protein. It's actually a very full food. Like I wouldn't say you'd want to survive on it, but it's a very balanced food. And let me find my notes here. I can't find it exactly, but it's known to actually work with cancer as well to help shrink tumors. And all these products too, there's beeswax and honey and royal jelly. They all have amazing properties. I've been wanting to write another article about the use of bee products, so when I do, I'll send it your way. But
Yes.
Bees have been used for 10,000 years. In fact, the Egyptians used them, China they use them, and Greece. And actually Hippocrates, which is the father of modern health, he used bee venom for arthritis. It's great for arthritis. And they've been worshipped because they're very powerful beings in that way. So there's a lot I can say about it, but they're endless things that they're great for.
Yeah, very interesting. So I have a question. Do the bees die after they sting?
Unfortunately, they do. When I first started going to see Tamara, she's a pretty amazing apitherapist. She can sting you and then take the little bee away so it doesn't lose its stinger, which I've never met another apitherapist who could do that. But basically, when I sting myself, I get the full potency of the venom. So it does lose its stinger. And so it usually dies in a day or two. So when I go to my bees, I kind of say, hey, who wants to help me with my healing today? And I have a very respectful relationship with them. So
I'm sure.
It is sad that they die.
Yeah, I was just curious. I thought I heard that because I'd seen Bee Venom Therapy used for rheumatoid arthritis or arthritic joints, and I knew it was a good anti-inflammatory for that reason. But
right.
Okay, so if somebody wants to start Bee Venom Therapy, what's the first step? Where do they go? Where can they find information?
I highly recommend, if someone wants to start it, to find somebody who does it. It's good to be seen by an apitherapist, which unfortunately it's hard to find somebody. So you could try Googling. You could try the bee venom cream, like I mentioned. There's instructions in it, like I said, to see how that reacts with your body. But if you are fortunate to have someone near you, you could try it. I do know people I've told about it, and they've gone to beekeepers or somebody who works in a health capacity, and they've tried it and learned how to do it. So it's not that difficult to do, but you definitely want to start slow, like say 1 sting, and if possible, don't get the full amount of the sting. So have the bee on you and then pull it away right away if possible. But just to really ease in, just to see how your body reacts to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now you have a gift that you want to give to our listeners. It's an ebook called Boundaries.
It's a
Can you
free
tell us about
ebook.
that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So with the work I do with the horses, boundaries is very, very important to have strong boundaries with horses because they're large animals. They're very gentle, but sometimes horses can step into your space and invade your boundaries. So because of the work with the horses I did a lot of work with people around boundaries. And so I created a free ebook to help show people how to have stronger boundaries, because boundaries is very important for having healthy relationships with your work, with your children, with your partner. And for me personally, I thought I was very good with my boundaries, but when I was diagnosed, I found that my boundaries were pushed constantly by the whole medical profession. So I think having strong boundaries is a very important thing for those of us on a healing journey, and for all of us really. So I've created a free ebook and I'd love to share it with you.
Okay, so we'll have that link to your website as well as the link to the ebook as well when we post the blog. So if there was one thing that you could share as far as parting words of encouragement or empowerment to women that may be listening that perhaps were just recently diagnosed, or maybe they've been on the journey for maybe it's going on a few years now, what would you share with them to really impart words of wisdom?
Yes, happy to share. Can I just say one quick thing about the bees?
Oh,
That's
sure.
really important. And then I
Yes.
can share that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to say this because I don't know if people realize it, that the bees are in danger right now, and we really need the bees for our survival as a human species. They pollinate our food, they give us medicines. I don't think people quite realize how important they are.
Yes.
And there's an interesting thing going on in the world right now where cancer is more prolific and the bees are in danger. So I think there's an interesting mirroring going on between the human population and the ecosystem. So I just want to really emphasize awareness about how we need bees. And like I said, the whole human civilization wouldn't have developed to the point we are now without the bees. So just want to put a little plug for the bees in there.
Yes, yes. I mean, it really is sad to see the number of bees that are dying and how they're really struggling. So I know we can't have our food supply without their little pollinating legs and wings. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, yeah, and then the parting words for women, I just want to encourage you to have hope and faith and trust in your body's own ability to heal. I really do believe that if our body created something such as cancer, our body can heal it. And when you give your body the proper nutrients and you do the 7 essentials like Dr. V teaches, you really have an amazing opportunity to heal and grow and transform, and just to find the beauty and light in it. It's been cancer's been a difficult path, but I've learned so much and I'm actually very grateful for it. So just to find the beauty in it, because there's beauty everywhere.
that's so sweet. And it's difficult for women who are initially diagnosed to maybe hear the words that it's a gift or it's a blessing, but really if you embrace it and you take responsibility for your health and you start doing more things that bring you joy and less things that bring you pain, and you see yourself on the other side of that journey, you will come out on the other side a happier and healthier you. So, and you're a prime example of that. You're doing so well on your journey, and we're almost there to the finish line. So I'm looking forward to celebrating with you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, Tara.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you for everything you do.
You're welcome.